5 hidden reasons women over 60 resent their husbands and how to heal. What if the woman you've shared your life with, the one who made a home out of your dreams, raised your children, stood beside you through every storm, was quietly growing to hate you? And what if you never even saw it coming? That's what I want to talk about today, because the truth is more chilling than you might believe. Some women after 60 wake up one morning and feel a kind of heartbreak they can no longer hide. A heartbreak that has been building for years, maybe decades, behind polite smiles and quiet dinners. You might think everything is fine because there's no shouting, no betrayal, no scandal. But that's exactly why this is so dangerous. Resentment grows in silence, thriving in the spaces where no one is looking. And by the time you finally notice, it can be too late to fix. I have seen it happen again and again. And it doesn't start with cheating or violence or some dramatic affair. It starts with something so subtle, so easy to dismiss, that most husbands never suspect it. A sigh at the table, an empty glance, a hug that feels hollow. And behind those small moments lies a terrible question. Does she even love me anymore? If you feel a chill running down your spine right now, don't look away. Stay with me. Because in this video, I'm going to reveal 5 powerful reasons why so many women over 60 begin to resent their husbands, and more importantly, what you can do to stop it before it's too late. If you believe these honest conversations matter, please subscribe to this channel. Your support helps us keep telling these stories and bringing you the tools to build a better, stronger marriage. Before we dive deeper, let me ask you one question. If your spouse was secretly hurting, would you want to know a yes, I would face it and try to heal it? B, no, I'd rather leave it alone than face the pain. Type your answer below in the comments. Your honesty might help someone else feel less alone. And now let's uncover the first hidden reason behind this silent heartbreak. Let me start with a truth that no one likes to say out loud. Love doesn't die overnight. It starves quietly in plain sight. And that slow starvation is what we call emotional neglect. I've met far too many couples who believe that just staying under the same roof means they're connected. But over the years, something begins to slip away. In the beginning, husbands ask questions, check in, notice the small things. But as life grows heavier, children, mortgages, careers, those gentle gestures fade. Instead of partners, they become silent co-workers in a household machine, handling bills, chores, and schedules, but forgetting to handle each other's hearts. You might think this is harmless, but it is anything but. A woman who feels unseen for years begins to question her own worth. At first, she makes excuses. Maybe he's tired. Maybe he has too much on his plate. Maybe it will change. But then months turn into years, and one day she wakes up with a realization so painful it takes her breath away. The man she shares her bed with doesn't really see her anymore. I remember talking to an old friend of mine, Julia, who put it perfectly. She said, "He never raised a hand to me, never cheated, but I feel lonelier with him than I ever did alone." That sentence nearly broke me, because that is how subtle, quiet neglect poisons a marriage. It doesn't scream. It doesn't make a scene. It just steals every tiny drop of joy until there is nothing left but a polite shell of a relationship. And then, when the kids move out and retirement makes the house quieter, the silence becomes deafening. Suddenly, there is space to feel again. Space to remember every unanswered question. every moment of vulnerability that was dismissed or ignored. The resentment blooms in that space. And for many men, it feels like it comes out of nowhere. But it was there all along in every moment they forgot to ask, "How are you really doing?" If you see even a spark of this happening in your own marriage, don't wait until she has nothing left to give. Start showing up again in small, honest ways. Listen without trying to fix. Hold her without trying to hurry. Ask questions not to check a box, but to understand her heart. Because in the end, emotional neglect isn't a single moment. It is the slow death of paying attention. And only your willingness to notice again can bring your marriage back to life. If you want to understand why so many women in their 60s and beyond carry a quiet bitterness, you have to look back at what they've carried all these years. From the very start, countless wives took on the invisible weight of holding a family together, managing the meals, the laundry, the kids' doctor visits, the birthdays, the aging parents, the 1,000 tiny details that no one else even realized needed tending. And all the while they were told this was simply their role, that a good wife makes sure everything runs smoothly, no matter what it costs her. Maybe your household was like that too. Maybe you thought of yourself as a provider working long hours to keep a roof over everyone's heads, assuming that was enough. And maybe it was for a while. But here's the hard truth. No one can shoulder decades of responsibility alone without eventually breaking under the weight of it. Women who stepped up over and over, who held down the fort every time you were tired or distracted, didn't just give their time. They gave pieces of themselves slowly until there was almost nothing left. I still remember hearing from Margaret, a 68-year-old woman whose words still echo in my head. She said, "I never hated my husband, but I hated how I was the only one thinking about everything. When the kids were sick, when the bills were late, when the house fell apart, it was always on me." That is the shape of resentment. It is not always loud or angry. Sometimes it shows up as a quiet distance, a sarcastic remark at dinner, a lack of patience that wasn't there before. And it is so easy to misunderstand. You might think she's just moody or she's gotten harder to live with. But what you're really seeing is exhaustion that has gone unacknowledged for too long. After retirement with no distractions, that old exhaustion finally demands to be felt. And what was once buried under busyness now rises to the surface with a power that can catch you completely off guard. If you recognize your wife in these words, it's not too late. The healing begins with recognition, with seeing, maybe for the first time, how much she has carried. Tell her, thank her. Share the burden from now on, not just with your hands, but with your heart. Because helping out isn't enough. You have to be in it with her side by side. That is the only way to dissolve a resentment built on decades of feeling alone. When I think about couples who make it through the struggles of raising kids, paying mortgages, and surviving career ups and downs, I see so many who believe the hardest part is behind them. They imagine that once retirement comes, once the house is finally quiet, they'll have time to reconnect, to sit together at the table and remember who they once were. But so often that dream never happens. Instead, the silence between them becomes a canyon. You see, over decades of rushing around, it's easy to put off the deep conversations, to ignore the subtle cracks in your bond. There were always school projects, late-night shifts, a broken water heater, 1,000 excuses to stay too busy to look each other in the eyes. But eventually those distractions fall away, and what's left is just the two of you and the painful truth that you don't really know each other anymore. I once spoke with Susan, 73, who told me I thought when the kids were grown, he would finally talk to me again. But he just sat there night after night, staring at the TV. That is the heartbreak of lost emotional connection. Not because someone left or cheated, but because the space between you grew so quietly neither of you noticed until it felt impossible to cross. What hurts most is that women in this season of life often crave connection more than ever. They want to share memories, dreams, even fears about growing old. They want to feel seen, understood, chosen again. But if their husbands retreat into silence, mistaking peace for ignoring problems, they are left alone with their questions, their worries, their longing. And here's where it gets dangerous. A woman who feels emotionally abandoned will start to believe she is unworthy of being loved. The loneliness next to a man who should be her greatest comfort is far worse than being alone altogether. If any part of this feels uncomfortably familiar, please don't dismiss it. There is still a bridge to be rebuilt. Sit beside her. Ask her what has been on her heart. Look at her like you did when you were young. Remind her she is still the person you choose day after day. Because love in later life can be even deeper, even richer, if you have the courage to reach across the silence and hold on. There is a kind of quiet sorrow that lives inside many women after 61 that even they may not know how to name. It is the sorrow of feeling unappreciated after a lifetime of giving. So many wives have poured themselves into holding a family together, sacrificing their sleep, their dreams, even their health, to make sure everyone else was cared for. They were the ones who remembered every birthday scheduled, every doctor's appointment, stayed up with sick children, balanced checkbooks, and kept the entire household running like a machine. In the early years, maybe they accepted this as love, as duty, as what a good wife should do. They didn't ask for applause. They didn't demand praise. But as time passes and the house finally grows quiet, there is a moment of reckoning. Suddenly, they have space to wonder, did anyone ever really see me? Did anyone ever thank me? I remember hearing from Diane, a 69-year-old woman who had been the backbone of her family for decades. She told me I gave up everything so my husband could chase his dreams. And now he barely looks at me. I feel like I never even existed. Those words, like "I never existed," are sharper than any insult. This is what happens when a woman's sacrifices go unspoken and unseen. It is not that she needs awards or trophies. She simply wants to know that someone noticed, that someone still remembers the cost of all she gave up. When that acknowledgement is missing, she starts to feel erased from her own life story. And that, my friend, is the breeding ground for resentment. Even the smallest gestures of appreciation can help a genuine thank you, a shared memory, a quiet word of admiration. These are not grand declarations. They are seeds of hope planted after years of neglect that tell her she still matters. If you have never said the words, say them now. Tell her that you see what she did for you, for the children, for the home. Tell her that you remember and that you are grateful, because no woman should grow old feeling like a ghost in her own family. Appreciation is not optional. It is the oxygen that can breathe new life into a love that has grown cold. Something remarkable happens to many women after 60. For perhaps the first time since their youth, they feel free to ask themselves a question they've buried for decades. What do I truly want after years of caring for children, supporting a husband's ambitions, tending to aging parents, and managing 1,000 invisible tasks? There comes a moment when the noise finally fades. In that quiet, many women discover a new kind of courage, the courage to expect more from life and from love. I have heard it again and again from women like Evelyn, 72, who told me, "I don't want to settle for just surviving next to someone. I want to feel chosen even now." That one word, chosen, is so powerful. It means she wants more than just a roommate. She wants someone who still sees her, still values her, still celebrates who she is today, not just who she was 30 or 40 years ago. In earlier decades, she might have stayed silent. She might have believed that peace in the home was worth sacrificing her own needs. But as she grows older, something shifts. She realizes that time is precious, that the years ahead are fewer than the years behind, and she refuses to waste them in quiet resignation. This is not about rebellion or selfishness. It is about claiming a birthright, the right to be loved, with presence, with tenderness, with genuine curiosity. If her husband cannot meet her there, she may not leave physically, but she will drift away emotionally. And that is a heartbreak that no marriage can truly survive. It is a slow, silent departure where she stops sharing her dreams, stops reaching out, stops hoping he will change. But there is still time to catch her before she fully slips away. Show her that you want to grow with her, not just age beside her. Ask her about the woman she is becoming. Invite her to tell you her fears, her hopes, even the silly little things that make her smile. Remind her that you do not just tolerate her presence, you still choose her again and again. Because the day a woman decides she deserves more is the day she will stop settling for less. And you must rise to meet her or risk losing her heart forever. If there is one lesson woven through all these quiet heartbreaks, it is this: love cannot survive on autopilot. The marriages that fall apart after decades do not usually explode in a single betrayal or storm. They fade little by little through unspoken words, unnoticed sacrifices, and 1,000 moments of turning away instead of turning toward. We often think that staying together under one roof is enough, that sharing a bank account and a bed guarantees closeness. But true connection is far more delicate. It must be fed with small acts of noticing, of listening, of gratitude. It must be protected from the wear and tear of routine, from the quiet poison of taking each other for granted. If you have been with your partner for 20, 30, 40 years, then you know how quickly time passes. One day you look up and the house is silent. The children gone, the days slower than you ever imagined. In that stillness, you will see clearly whether you built a bond that could last, or whether you simply built habits that left you emotionally stranded. You might realize you do not know the person sitting across from you, and worse, that they no longer know you, but it does not have to stay that way. A marriage can be healed even after years of distance. It begins with courage, the courage to speak, to listen, to ask questions you might have been too afraid to ask. It takes humility to admit you missed things, to apologize for the ways you neglected your partner's heart. And it takes commitment to keep showing up day after day with small acts of love. No grand gesture can replace steady, consistent presence. Let this be your invitation. Do not settle for just surviving beside each other. Grow together. Talk about the past, but also the future. Laugh again. Cry if you need to. Hold each other's hands with the same wonder you had when you were young. Because if there is one thing I know for sure, it is that love after 60 can be even deeper, even stronger if you choose it, nurture it, and fight for it every single day. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you believe marriages can truly grow closer after retirement? A yes with effort and honesty, B. No, too much damage has already been done. Please share your answer in the comments so everyone can learn from different perspectives. And if these stories resonate with you, please consider subscribing to this channel and maybe even making a small donation to help us keep creating honest, heartfelt messages for people who need them. Your support means the world.